only 2 teams in the history of the NBA have been able to come back from an 0-2 deficit. Bill's Portland team did it in 1977 over the Philadelphia 76ers. Boston did it in 1969 against the Los Angeles Lakers.
Seattle's got to have a great start today to give these fans some hope and keep them cheering. Plus, they have to attack and execute on the offensive end, fight through the fatigue.
And the Bulls say they are ready for this emotional onslaught from this crowd. They know the Bulls, that is, cannot ease into this ballgame. Seattle is starting to gain some confidence.
It is Irvin Johnson and Luke Longley on the opening tip, and taken by the Bulls. Tony Kukoc in the starting lineup for Ron Harper, as Ahmad mentioned, because of the left knee bothering Harper, but he is expected to see action. Jordan going at Hawkins to the fadeaway. Rodman missed the tip. Longley missed. And Payton came up with the loose ball. So the Sonics to the offense for the first time, and it is Jordan guarding Payton. Schrempf played by Kukoc. Backs him in and feeds to Kemp. Rodman with the rebound. Dennis coming off the 20-rebound performance in Game 2. Longley. Well, Chicago had missed its last 12 shots. That figure dating back to game number 2. And Luke Longley scores for the Bulls. Longley knocked it away. And a foul is called.
Well, Luke Longley got off to such a terrific start in Game 1. A lot of it was because Irvin Johnson was looking to help other people out. Here, a terrific defensive play by Longley to first strip and then hold his position against Shawn Kemp.
And a bad pass, so the Sonics give it right back.
Shawn Kemp jumping in the air to pass. Cardinal sin in basketball. I don't see what Luke Longley did to deserve that foul. He stood totally still.
Here is Kukoc. Well, Michael Jordan had a little chat with Tony Kukoc during the course of Game 2 and felt that he was a bit on the passive side. You recall he was tentative, held back and taking shots. And again, the ball to the Bulls, a traveling violation. And Tony Kukoc took some big shots in the third quarter, and as he did in game number 1, helped to turn things around. Pippen able to save that backdoor pass. Here is Jordan for 3.
The Bulls continue their terrific ball movement, and I like the fact that Michael Jordan is guarding Gary Payton here. He is not going to let Gary Payton get off.
Well, Payton does get it off and hit. What are you saying, Bill?
Timing.
And in your face, Walton. You're next.
Bulls 7 and the Sonics 2. And the Bulls able to get off to the quick start. Jordan setting up Longley. Yes. Talking to the Bulls prior to tonight's game, they're all concerned about the energy lift that this crowd would provide Seattle. Well, they took care of that with the fast start.
Well, Chicago looked sluggish and slow of foot in Game 2. Much, much quicker here to start Game 3.
Sam Perkins getting set to come on. Early substitution.
George Karl not giving anybody a chance to play as Jordan will drain this 3. You can just see, as Ahmad was pointing out, the focus, the determination, and the fact that he's guarding Gary Payton.
Schrempf got the step. Open shot to Perkins. And it's Rodman with the rebound.
George Karl yanks Irvin Johnson, who did nothing right or nothing wrong, but in a couple minutes, what do you expect? And then they give Sam Perkins a shot too early.
Here comes Schrempf. Hawkins. And Payton from deep in the corner. Rodman for Jordan. 2-on-1 development. The lead for Kukoc. Stopped by Hawkins. And a jump ball. Good play by Percy Hawkins. Hugh Evans called a jump ball, but the outside official, Dick Bavetta, has called a foul on Hawkins.
Oh, Michael Jordan and Tony Kukoc continued to have a little bit of discussion. I think Michael was disappointed that Tony could not catch and finish on that lob, but he didn't have his steps right. His timing was off, so all he had to do is he made sure he kept possession of the basketball. That was a smart thing.
Pippen got the step and puts home the putback.
It's always funny because a great player. Oh, they're going to call a foul on Rodman in the transition game. Oh, not a foul, excuse me.
Now they do indicate a foul call. It is on Rodman, and a timeout is taken with 8:29 remaining in the first quarter. The Bulls with an 11-2 advantage. Although the Bulls won Game 2 on Friday night in Chicago, Michael Jordan was not pleased with his own play or with the play of his teammates, and we talked about that earlier with Michael.
Well, I felt we were not preparing ourselves appropriately for the games mentally. I think Phil and the coaching staff have done a heck of a job in trying to get us prepared for the game strategically, but I think what we have to do is consume all that and then go out there and execute it properly. And we got to have the right mental preparation to do such. And I felt we were, because at home, taking things a little bit for granted, a little lightly, and it showed in the first half.
Well, it has not appeared to be the case here at the start. Gary Payton has come out firing away. You just saw that air ball from deep in the right-hand corner.
He's taking lots of shots, but those shots have got to go in. Seattle 0 for 3 from behind the line, continuing a disturbing trend as Jordan making that statement game, going at who's ever guarding him.
Right, whatever the Bulls did yesterday at practice and what they talked about today, they are moving their bodies and moving the ball. The offense is crisp.
You mentioned the disturbing trend as Kemp was able to get position inside. A disturbing trend from three-point land. They are now 8 for 34 from downtown in this series.
Well, that's been the focus of Chicago's defense throughout the playoffs against every team. They do not want to give open looks to anybody.
Tony Kukoc with a beautiful move. He's hit 2 of 3. And the Bulls are up 15-4. Another bad pass. The sloppy play by Seattle continues.
Assist to turnover ratio. We talked about it at the open. Plus, you get this sense that this is like Game 3. Chicago at Orlando, that 20-point victory. Chicago came out and played perfect basketball, particularly from the defensive end.
Backdoor lead for Longley, who blew the layup. And here's Kemp. Offensive foul. It's a charge on Kemp.
Well, Dennis Rodman saw that one coming from about 30 feet away, and he couldn't believe it. Shawn Kemp just kept coming and coming and coming. He was standing there waiting forever. The offensive charge.
Another turnover. And twice now, Jordan at the offensive end has thrown loud passes. Once to Kukoc, once to Longley. I don't know if they work on those in their native Yugoslavia and in Australia. They need more television sets over there.
Bill turning very, very cruel here.
Well, that's how you learn the game, Marv, is as a kid watching the games.
We may see Michael curb those lob passes the rest of the way.
Throw them to Scottie and Rodman.
Illegal defense was just called for the first time against Seattle. Here's Kukoc for 3. Well, Phil Jackson forced to go with Tony Kukoc as the starter because of the knee problem suffered by Rod Harper, and Kukoc has come out on fire. 3 of 4, 7 points. 18-4 Chicago lead. Schrempf for 3. Did not hit the rim.
Very poor offensive execution. It's not the kind of start that Seattle needed. Chicago is playing perfect.
And here's Pippen drawing the foul.
Well, all season long, when Tony Kukoc has had the opportunity to start, he has delivered. All of his statistics much, much better. He's always been comfortable as a starter. You can see it in his eyes in this one. I think Seattle came out in this ballgame maybe relying too much on the emotion of the crowd in this building, and they have yet to settle down and just do not know where they want to go at the offensive end. Very haphazard.
It is now Chicago 19 and Seattle 4. Percy Hawkins trying to put the move on Tony Kukoc. Shawn Kemp. And the Sonics are now rushing shots. Longley with the pick.
Oh, beautiful pass.
And the Bulls showing their usual superb ball movement. Jordan. The tip by Pippen. What an effort to get to the ball.
Mark, Chicago's tipping a lot with great positioning, but they bring those down and just try to go up with them again rather than very difficult tips, which aren't falling right now.
Well, the crowd wanted a foul. Percy Hawkins challenging Luke Longley. It will be Seattle ball, 17 on the shot clock. Schrempf.
I thought the Sonics had a notion early in this game. They wanted to go at Kukoc with Schrempf. They went a couple of times. Detlef didn't take the shot, but there's a mismatch there. They looked at the tape of the game the other day. Tony Kukoc has trouble guarding anybody.
Longley. Try to bank it. Kemp on the rebound. Hawkins, 3-on-1. Payton for Perkins. Nicely done. And that gets the crowd going. The Bulls with a 19-8 lead. Delay of game warning with the Sonics batting the ball away following this.
The 3-on-1 set up by Michael Jordan, gambling just over midcourt, going for the steal, and Tony Kukoc had to feel like Custer there.
And the Bulls call for time. 4:50 remaining in the first quarter.
Key Arena, where the Bulls have an early lead on the Sonics, 19-8. An animated Seattle huddle. Nate McMillan, the injured co-captain of this team, trying to pump up his teammates, saying you're reacting to the situation. You're thinking too much. You've just got to play and let this game come to you. Sam Perkins telling his teammates we're rushing, we're forcing shots, and we've got to stop doing that. And then George Karl telling them to take care of things on the defensive end and get into the regular rotation. Start it with the defense. Ahmad?
All right, Hannah, the story on Ron Harper, he irritated his knee the last couple of days in practice and came out today in the pregame warm-ups and it was really bothering him, so he wasn't able to start. He's been in the back riding a bicycle, trying to stretch it out, trying to get ready to play. He's back on the bench now and appears that he may be able to play. We'll keep you posted, Marv.
All right, thanks, Ahmad. Here's Jordan as we resume. Hacked by Hawkins. Steve Kerr has come on for the first time. Percy Hawkins picking up the foul, his second.
Michael Jordan works that weak side post on the triple post offense so well. He gets the isolation, something that Phil Jackson trying to get him into quickly. The slap on the wrist. You know that Ron Harper's got to be in a tremendous amount of pain because Harper is one of the toughest guys in this league, Marv. He plays through injuries so many times. It's got to be killing him and Nate McMillan that they can't be out here.
And Hawkins sits down, replaced by Vincent Askew. George Karl is looking for a lift from Askew, who has been getting the minutes off the bench in 2 games, but only 1 of 5, and he's turned it over 5 times. Sonics trying to break. Payton got the roll, and it's the Bulls 21-10 over Seattle.
The first time in this series that the Sonics have attacked that full court trap after a free throw, and they get a terrific look and finish.
The lead for Jordan, and he misses the layup, but Longley is able to convert. What's going on here?
A terrific pass by Rodman. They read that backdoor play perfectly. What mental communication. Thing of beauty to watch.
Bulls 23, Sonics 10. Schrempf for 3. And last touch by Kemp.
Hannah was right on it. Seattle is confused. They're trying to do too much, trying to think too much. Keep it simple, play basic basketball like the Bulls.
And you see the rebounding advantage again for Chicago. We are seeing the best spurt of basketball that the Bulls have shown over the first 2 games and a quarter. Here's Longley getting inside. Nice move by Luke Longley, and the Bulls now lead 25-10. It has not been impressive for the Bulls, although they did win the first 2 games. Steve Kerr said the other day the Bulls have actually played only 3.5 good games in the entire playoffs.
It's nice that they set such a high standard for themselves. That's one of the reasons they've dominated basketball this year.
Kemp able to save it. Shot clock is rolled down to 3. Down to 1. And it is a 24-second violation. What a defensive sequence by the Bulls.
But Seattle's forwards on the offensive end are really giving them nothing. These are their creative forces, Kemp and Detlef Schrempf. These guys are jumping in the air to throw wild passes, not making good, strong, authoritative moves to the hoop.
3 minutes to go in this first quarter. Here's Kerr from way downtown. His shooting has been off in this series.
Well, Steve has been unable to make him from the new 3-point line. He's moved further back. Feels he can maybe get his touch again.
Perkins off the head fake. Sam Perkins with a strong move. Bulls 25. And the Sonics 12.
Longley unable to control Perkins. Perkins is left-handed, too.
Jordan, yes, 9 points for Jordan. He's hit 3 of 7. Not seeing many stops at the other end of the court as Chicago goes to the offense. They have been scoring at will in this first quarter.
It's a classic example of just what great offense does to a very good defense. One of the top-rated defenses in the NBA, Seattle, this year.
And a 3 for Jordan. That gives him 12. Bulls lead 30-12.
Now the Chicago Bulls respect the defense of Seattle. I think that's why they came out. They knew they would be tough in this building. That's why they have come out. They spaced the floor beautifully and passing the ball and making their shots to it too.
The steal by Jordan leading to the breakaway by Pippen. Oh, the Bulls are just eating up the Sonics in this opening quarter with 1:35 remaining. It's the Bulls 32 and the Sonics 12. 22nd timeout called by Seattle.
Michael Jordan hits the 3-point shot and then comes right back on the defensive end on the advancement of Seattle's offensive possession. The look-away pass and Scottie off to the races, and you have to wonder if Chicago was just toying with Seattle back in the Windy City.
Well, a 20-point lead for the Chicago Bulls with 1:35 remaining in this first quarter. The largest lead at the end of the first quarter in the history of the NBA Finals. 20-point lead by the Lakers over the New York Knicks back May 6th, 1970. That was game number 6 of that best-of-7, followed up by the long-remembered Willis Reed appearance in Game 7 back at Madison Square Garden, leading to the victory in the series by the Knicks over the Lakers. Pippen on a lead for Rodman, and the onslaught continues.
And no excuse for that on the part of Seattle. Just very poor transition defense. Had plenty of time to get back and cover up in the lane.
We're approaching 1 minute left in this first quarter. Schrempf. Close. Able to recover. And the Bulls now lead 34-14. Ron Harper is on the floor for the first time. Did not start because of the knee problem. Michael Jordan sitting out here in the final minute and a half of the first quarter. So Harper and Kerr at the guards. Kukoc, Pippen and Rodman up front. Kukoc forcing. And Payton in the open floor. Hit from behind by Kukoc.
Well, every opportunity that the Bulls get to run, they will. Whether it's a steal, whether it's a rebound, the outlet pass of Scottie Pippen getting out, getting the lead pass from Kerr, and attacking the defense, and just Dennis Rodman sneaking in on that right side. Even though Pippen jumped in the air, plenty of time to find the open man, Rodman.
The Bulls get out of their offense when Jordan goes to the bench. Scottie's got to take a more assertive role.
Perkins able to save that pass, nearly thrown away by Askew, and a foul committed by Kukoc, his second.
Plus, when Luke Longley was in, he did a good job staying in front of that basket, forcing the Sonics to the perimeter game. Longley goes to the bench, and Sonics having some success at the hoop.
Sam Perkins at the line with the Bulls over the limit. Sam coming off a 5 for 10 shooting performance, 13 points in game 2. Now Jordan returns. Harper sits down.
Don't know if Harper's going to be able to give much today. He looked a little gimpy out there, Marv.
Seconds remaining in the quarter. 18-point Chicago lead. And the Bulls holding for a final shot. Down to 5. Jordan putting moves on Askew. 1 second remaining. Well, Askew played him well. So the Chicago Bulls in command after 1. They are up 34-16. Tony Kukoc providing a lift in the starting lineup at 3 of 5, 7 points, 12 for Michael Jordan. We'll be back in Seattle right after these messages. Well, the Bulls with a 34-16 lead on the Sonics as we head to the second quarter here in Seattle. Eddie Vedder of Pearl Jam on hand. He was at the 2 games in Chicago, a native of Seattle, although has ties to Dennis Rodman. And there's Kenny G, who did a terrific job with the anthem prior to the game, although Bill Matt was disappointed. He thought Kenny G would sing the anthem. A little confused about it.
Kenny is a regular Sonic fan. Played the national anthem the opening night here, but the Sonics are shooting themselves in the foot here. They got 6 turnovers. They're 0 for 6 from behind the line. They've given up 6 offensive rebounds. They're down 18 points.
Well, George Karl was telling us on Showtime that he thinks it's mental, not physical. It may be a bit of both here in the first half.
Well, the Bulls have brought their A game in that first quarter.
Nice move by Payton. And it's now Chicago 34 and Seattle 18. Bill Wennington on the floor for the first time. Jordan with Pippen, Kukoc, Wennington, and Rodman. Shot clock at 6. Jordan got the step, rejected by Kemp. Shawn Kemp came over and made the block.
Jordan is very frustrated. Just 2 seconds on the shot clock. He is playing so well. His teammates, Kukoc, not keeping up with Michael Jordan today, and he's frustrated about it.
All right, Jordan. Will it count? No. 24-second violation.
Well, Dick Pavetta, the trail official, having a look at this, but so difficult to hear. You see the shot clock on the left part of your screen. Very, very close. Michael Jordan in his inner ear, he felt it was good. But Bill, you have gotten the matchup that you have wanted so far in this series. Payton and Jordan finally matched up.
And that was the first turnover committed by the Bulls. Foul on Wennington.
I just don't understand why Seattle waits for game 3 to get it going.
Or to get behind by 16.
Absolutely.
Payton, Askew, Hawkins, Perkins, and Kemp on the floor for George Karl. Here's Payton for 3. They cannot hit the 3-point shot. They have missed their last 14 from three-point range.
And that one didn't have a chance. It didn't look good at all.
Weddington run into by Askew.
And right away now, Michael realized that he is being defended by Payton. He is just going to run to the low blocks on either side and try to be the post man in this triangle offense and try to get inside as much as possible. Not that Payton is much smaller, but Jordan's certainly stronger than Gary Payton inside.
And you recall they got involved in a heated exchange during the fourth quarter on Friday night. Jordan said it was just conversation. He said he can't get in my head, and I'm pretty sure he's not going to let me get in his head. Jordan said to this point, that is a standoff. Kukoc. Oh, what a move by Jordan, but not able to hit.
Just watching Jordan and getting in up close to his face and seeing the defensive effort.
Askew with the floor. And the Sonics showing some signs. They are now down by 14.
But Jordan's presence just so inspirational.
And the crowd very much back into it. Hugh Evans calls the foul on Gary Payton. 8-0 run by Seattle.
And right away, Michael wanting to take that weak side post position against Payton. And Payton battles hard. This is why he is the defensive player of the year. And really, that was not a foul. That was just good, hard, tough post defense. If that were two big men, they wouldn't have blown the whistle.
And the battle continues between Jordan and Payton. Jordan turned it over. Picked off by Hawkins, who was blocked by Pippen with a foul on Scottie Pippen.
And Michael is forcing things a little bit right now. He wants to take it to Gary Payton in every opportunity.
Timeout taken by Phil Jackson. 2:04 gone by in the second. We welcome you back to the Pacific Northwest as you look at Dennis Rodman, who a moment ago was hit with a technical foul for what is termed unsportsmanlike conduct.
Well, I should say Dennis Rodman giving the two-hand disgusted wave towards referee Steve Javy. And that is automatic. We saw it in game one with Joe Crawford. As soon as you put those two hands up and wave in that fashion, you don't even have to say anything. That's an automatic technical.
And Dennis is trying to explain to Coach Phil Jackson, I didn't do anything, Coach. Absolutely nothing. There's no way you can show up the referee. Dennis clearly at fault there.
Percy Hawkins converting on the technical. Once again, Dennis Rodman called for an early technical foul. Back in game one, that led to the Frank Burkowski-Dennis Rodman controversy.
And Burkowski has not been a factor since. George Karl refused to give him a chance to play. And Burkowski can be a positive contributor for this Sonic team.
Well, the Bulls have led by as many as 22. Payton with the back-end move on Randy Brown, who just came on following the timeout. Brown extending the knee and was called for the foul. So a 9-0 run by the Sonics.
A good move by Phil Jackson, though, to get Brown in there to watch Payton for a while. I think he sensed that Michael Jordan was trying to do too many different things once Michael will settle down a little bit.
Here's the double on Kemp.
Jumping to pass.
And Askew, as a result, lost it. A host of turnovers in this first half by Seattle. The Bulls have missed their last 5 field goal attempts. Pippen getting the good position. Got clock at 6. Travel call.
Scottie Pippen was hammered inside. The non-call led to the scramble play in the perimeter and the confusion for the Bulls.
Payton again working on Brown. Payton lost his balance. Payton, oh, what a sequence for Gary Payton.
Well, Gary Payton operates so well when he gets the ball down low on the left side. That's one of the things that Ron Harper has kept him from doing it. Brown puts good pressure on, but he should let him get that deep.
But look at the size differential that Randy Brown gives up.
Weddington going glass. And now Steve Gavi with a call. Maybe a double foul here. Yes, it is. A double. It's on Kemp. And Rodman.
And Rodman getting a break there, and Shawn Kemp can't believe anything was called against him. He was just boxing out, a push and a shove from Dennis Rodman, and very quickly, Michael Jordan got right into the face of Dennis Rodman and told him, cool it right now. You've already got the one technical, and this was very close here. On the weak side, Rodman and Kemp battling for position. And you see there, Rodman clearly the instigator. Kemp just trying to hold his arm up and box out Rodman.
And now Shawn Kemp has 2 fouls when he was not involved in that play at all, and he has to go to the bench.
Rodman also sits down after collecting his second. Schrempf for Askew. And it's a charge. Offensive foul. Vincent Askew trying to make things happen. His offense off, although he's not noted as an offensive player, but with the injury suffered by Nate McMillan, they're looking for a bit more from Askew.
Marv, Askew is pump faking that 3-point shot. He hadn't even taken one. That pump fake doesn't work. Make another swing pass rather than try to create off an ineffective pump fake as Kukoc is in the lineup.
Well, turnovers a problem for Seattle all season long. Yes, they force them, but they kick it away too many times. 9 turnovers already in this first half.
Shot clock at 5. Brown for 3. Randy Brown, who does not think shot first, able to hit from 3-point land.
So much of that is coaching, bringing the guys off the bench like Kerr and Bushler. They make so much of the Chicago bench, but really, these are all guys who nobody really wanted. Much the way Orlando has a bench that nobody wanted, but Chicago, through Phil Jackson, they just have such great ball movement. Everybody willing to give it up because they know, because of Jordan's leadership, he'll give it right back.
Randy Brown on that last foul. How about Brown during the regular season? 1 for 11 from downtown and just hit the 3 here in the NBA Finals. 16-point Chicago lead. Shot clock down to 5. Perkins on the rebound. And the officials check with each other. The ruling last touch by Brown of the Bulls.
Phil Jackson up the sideline arguing for a double dribble on Sam Perkins, but it was not an intentional dribble, the first bobble of the ball. George Karl wants a timeout.
7:09 remaining in this first half. The Bulls 39, the Sonics 23. This is not a good stat line for the Sonics. This includes tonight in the first half. They have picked up 41 assists, a low number, and they've turned it over 43 times.
Well, it all speaks to their execution on offense. Not enough ball movement, not good passing, and consequently, you're not going to shoot the ball very well. But the Sonics have had problems with turning the ball over all season long. That man, Shawn Kemp, averaging 4 turnovers a game throughout the season.
He's got 3 tonight, as does Askew. Kemp averaging over 30 points a game in this series. He's got 2 points this afternoon.
Seattle had only 10 assists in the game on Friday night. Payton able to chase it down. Schrempf eluding Bushler, who just came on. Detlef Schrempf with his 3rd field goal. He has 6 points. And the Bulls now lead 39-25. Chicago is led by as many as 22. They came storming out to quiet this crowd. The crowd getting back into it with the good play by the Sonics, who were able to run off 9 straight points. Kukoc will go to the line as he was hit.
This is just another example of what I would call careless defense. Yes, it's the way Seattle plays, but let's watch Detlef Schrempf first. Having to shake off the challenge shot there. Got a good look at the basket, as Detlef Schrempf is going to have to do a lot more of that. But at the other end, ball goes inside to Luke Longley, and Gary Payton just gambles and comes over in double teams, and then leaves his other defenders out of sorts underneath the basket. You just can't do that.
Matt, Chicago is the best offensive team in basketball this year by the numbers, but they stick with their patterns. You always sense, well, we know this is coming because they're going to post up a guy, they're going to flash off. Seattle, it's too much of a scramble.
Off the pressure defense, a foul on Bushler. Bulls over the foul limit. 6.5 minutes remaining in this first half. You see Frank Burkowski getting set to check in. Dennis Rodman has been sitting it out, as has Shawn Kemp after they picked up the double foul. Kemp is now back on the floor. Shawn Kemp very quiet in this first half. 1 of 3 from the field. So Burkowski checks in, and here's his good friend Dennis Rodman getting set to return.
Now the courage of Phil Jackson right now, with Dennis Rodman already 1 technical, a couple of personal fouls. A volatile situation could develop, but I think Phil trying to show Dennis that he trusts him.
Bulls 41 and the Sonics 27.
Coaches have to show trust in their players. That's why Phil Jackson is the coach of the year and the best coach in the NBA today.
Phil, are you on the take here? Not that I would disagree with that, but you were pushing Phil right.
Look what he does with this team. I mean, Luke Longley, nobody wanted him. Steve Kerr, nobody wanted here. Randy Brown, Bushler. He's taken all these guys. They learn from Jordan. They learn from Pippen. And they get an unbelievable team here that thinks basketball as a unit.
Oh, I'm not disputing it, but I think this is about the 5th time it's been mentioned.
And I wouldn't say that nobody wanted the players that you mentioned. It's just that they found their niche with this particular ball club.
Luke Longley with a nice move as Rodman and Burkowski became entangled. Luke Longley with a terrific start. 5 of 8 from the field. 10 points. Bulls lead by 16. Schrempf for 3. And Rodman with the rebound. So the Sonics 0 for the last 15 from 3-point range. Jordan got caught. Oh, Michael Jordan with a couple of miscues here in the first half. Oh, nice pass from Payton. Detlef Schrempf with 10. Chicago's lead is now 14.
More and more plays like that will get Seattle right back into this game and into this series.
Kerr, yes. Steve Kerr with his first field goal coming into today. 1 of 11 from the field the first 2 games of the series. And coming off a superb shooting performance against Orlando. Detlef Schrempf, a different player here in the first half.
Well, he's manhandling Judd Bushler right now in the low post, but Detlef Schrempf can do that to various sizes and shapes of players.
Timeout taken by the Bulls. 4:45 remaining in the first half. The Bulls by 14. And the Bulls have been able to do it despite the fact that Michael Jordan only 4 of 12 from the field, and he has missed his last 4. He's also turned it over uncharacteristically on 2 occasions. They double up on Jordan. Kukoc. And back comes Payton. And Schrempf took his eye off the pass, looking for the shot.
Mark, Gary Payton has a careless habit of giving up that ball in transition on the flow in the mid-court area. I think that's a bad mistake.
Pippen is blocked, and then Schrempf. Burkowski, but with the strip, but threw it away. Now single coverage with Hawkins on Jordan, who goes right at him, and is fouled.
And you mentioned Jordan's performance, Marv. But it was his start that set the tempo, that got him out to that 20-point lead. And they've just been sort of hanging on right now, just sort of trying to keep the status quo, maybe get to halftime with a good solid lead, and then come out in the third and just really hammer down again. That seems to be Michael Jordan and the Bulls' approach today.
Well, Michael had his free throw shooting problems in game 2, just 10 for 16. And he is well aware that every time that he drives to the basket, there is going to be some kind of a hard foul. Talking to him before the game, I asked if it was borderline of some of these maybe flagrant fouls. He said no. He said they are clean, hard fouls, and we expect them. We got to be ready to take them.
You saw John Sally check in. So Sally with Longley and Kukoc up front, Pippen and Jordan in the backcourt. 16-point Chicago lead. Shawn Kemp, who has been quiet, facing the double team. Here is Schrempf. Brikowski. And knocked out of bounds. And a foul call on Brikowski. As Brikowski commits his second personal.
A wild offensive sequence for Seattle where they're really just throwing it up there. They need to get better shots. You drive in there, you draw the defense, and then you kick out to somebody who's standing at the foul line or the three-point line. Brikowski unable to get it going.
And Brikowski sitting down. Jordan now with 15 points. The Bulls 48. And the Sonics 31. And this game 3 of the best-of-7 NBA Final Series. Game 4 here in Seattle Wednesday night. 9 o'clock start Eastern Time. 6 out on the West Coast. 3.5 remaining in the first half. Sally on Perkins. Kemp around Longley and fouled by Longley.
Well, Shawn Kemp is so confident when he goes in a one-on-one situation against Luke Longley, whether it's close to the basket, whether it's on the perimeter. He knows he can put the ball on the deck and get in there and create some contact from Luke Longley, and that was just a careless foul by Luke as he reached in.
Shawn Kemp with just 1 field goal, 1 of 3 at the line. Kemp has been the offense for the Sonics' first 2 games, 29 points. And in game 2, he had 32 points in game 1. Longley sitting down after picking up his second foul, leads with 10 points. So the Bulls with a 49-33 lead.
Marv Rodman's been in and out of the lineup so much tonight, almost like on a yo-yo there. Impossible for him to get a rhythm for the ball on the boards.
Kukoc able to save it. Pippen resets. Shot clock down to 4. And it will be Seattle back in possession.
Now, if you're George Karl, you're just hoping in these last 3 minutes that you can close this gap, get it to around 10 or 12, so you have something positive to talk about during halftime.
Back comes Kukoc. Again, it's Payton on Jordan. Sally, played by Kemp. Jordan, yes, nicely done on the setup from Kukoc.
Marv, they just keep moving all the time. When one guy has the ball, they're not standing watching.
And there's nothing passive about Tony Kukoc here in the first half. Shawn Kemp, 6 points now for Kemp. The Bulls 51, the Sonics 35.
Marv, Tony's one of those guys who responds to the challenge. A very competitive guy, even though a quiet personality. Harper out, he knows it's his day.
And Michael Jordan picking it up. He has 20 points. The Bulls by 18.
Well, Tony knows he's playing with a lot of fellas out there who have a lot of championship rings, and he's got a few European championships of his own. So that's a good lineup.
Offensive foul. That's 3 on Kemp.
Shawn Kemp working for low post position, just nails John Sally with an elbow in the head. The referee's right on top of it. Digging in deep there, Shawn Kemp leans right in. And that initial elbow from the left side, right to John Sally, who does know how to respond once that whistle blows.
And Kemp sits down. David Wingate comes on for the first time. Jordan being guarded by Wingate. Shoots over. Yes. Oh, Michael is on fire now. 23 for Jordan. Three-pointer for Michael Jordan. And it is now a 21-point lead for the Bulls. They have led by as many as 22. Foul was called on Sally.
It wasn't too long ago we were saying Michael Jordan, maybe he's trying to do a little too much. Well, hey, he's doing it. Inside, outside, everywhere. As he is really feeling it right now like nobody can cover him.
When we were talking to him before the game today, you could just feel that intensity just coming out, oozing out, if you will. This is a very special person.
But of most significance, Michael telling us that he would like to play golf tomorrow. And the only way he could do it under his terms would be if the Bulls win today and Phil Jackson gives the club the day off from practice. And we said that might be your greatest motivation, and he did not disagree.
Well, even if they don't have any time off from practice, the sun stays up so long in this town. 9:15 last night, and it's still shining.
Matt looking out the window with the watch in his hand.
I wrote it in my diary.
That must live in the southern hemisphere.
Bulls with a 56-37 lead. Jordan. Yes. Michael Jordan with 25. He is now 8 for 16. And the Bulls lead 58-37.
Marv, it all comes down to style for the Bulls right now. Everything coming off passing. The few occasions it does break down a little bit, Jordan always there to bail him out.
Foul is called. Sally took down Perkins. Michael Jordan has hit his last 4 shots, 25 points in this first half.
I was saying how the Sonics would like to go into halftime, maybe down 10 or 12. Well, it's gone the other way, now to 21. And with all the ideas to double-team Michael Jordan, probably the best time would have been to do it these last couple of minutes. Now, yes, he's out on the perimeter, and you don't want to run crazy double-teaming but when he is this hot. You must run at him and get the ball out of his hands.
Sam Perkins, 4 for 4 at the line.
Well, I don't think the problem has been so much on the defensive end for Seattle. Nobody's really going to stop Michael Jordan. The problem is offense. They got 37 points playing at home. They come out in the opening quarter, stink it up. They get 16 points.
And Jordan is headed back to the line, fouled by Wingate. Well, Bill, the Sonics are now 14 of 32, shooting 43%. The Bulls are at 51% shooting, 22 out of 43.
All the talk has been about the big start, the home crowd. They come on flat, Bulls playing perfect, and now the crowd is sitting on their hands here in a half-hearted attempt to distract Michael with some deflated balloons behind the basket.
Yeah, that really bothers them.
A 20-second timeout has been called by
Those 12 turnovers by Seattle, many of them forced by the Chicago Bulls defense, something they do very, very well. Some of those turnovers of the careless variety.
We are down to 50 seconds remaining in this first half, and the Bulls now lead 59-38 as they look to make it 3-0 in this best of 7. The Sonics will need a dramatic turnaround in the second half. Michael Jordan with 26 points. He has hit on 8 of 16 from the field. He has converted his last 4 shots. Incidentally, the record for the NBA Finals, most points in a finals half, 35, which is held by, yes, Michael Jordan. Game 1 against Portland in 92. Another look at the move by Jordan a moment ago that led to the foul called on Wingate.
Well, David Wingate and Michael have had their confrontation so far in the 2.5 games of this series. That was just a fly pattern after the made free throw, but David Wingate Maybe has some long fingernails there. You got the neck and chin of Michael, the side of the arm. Michael was checking all over the place to see where he was cut on this play. Michael would have been a pretty darn good wide receiver.
It's the Bulls 60, the Sonics 38.
Matt, don't encourage him. The last guy that did that, he went and played baseball for a while.
Perkins, met by Sally. Lead pass for Schrempf waved off for an illegal defense call.
On Judd Bushler, who was on the weak side, trying to help out as that double team came about. He was just in no man's land, trying to zone up and protect, and got caught.
That was the first illegal defense against Chicago. Seattle was hit with one earlier. About a half-minute left in this opening half. Payton wanted to use the pick, but Perkins was moving with him. Here's Wingate. Rebounded by Pippen. And the Bulls will hold for a final shot of this first half as we come up on 10 seconds to go. Here's Pippen. Yes, and it counts. Well, a symbolic finisher to a first half that has been just splendid for the Chicago Bulls.
It has been a clinic for Chicago. Every aspect. Jordan, Pippen, the big guys are playing their game. Dennis Rodman celebrating.
And one, he said.
And referee. Something different.
Well, they did miss a free throw.
Final seconds of the half. Biggest lead of the night. Enjoyed by Chicago. Bushler with the steal. A 24-point lead for the Bulls, who are seeking to go 3 up in this best of 7. Michael Jordan leading the way, 27 points, 15 in the second quarter. We'll be back in a moment with Bob Costas and the Prudential halftime report. We are back at the Key Arena, which has been kept relatively quiet in this first half by this commanding Chicago lead. Let's check in with Ahmad Rashad. Ahmad?
All right, thanks, Mark. Excuse me, Dick. I'm trying to do a reporting. Phil Jackson, unlike in Game 2, didn't have much to say to his team at halftime, but he did say that the second half will mean nothing if they can't pick up where they left off in the first half. Also, to be wary of Seattle coming out and pressing. Mark?
Oh, that official Dick Pavetta is such a wacky guy, isn't he? He'll do anything for odd camera time.
Seattle starting Frank Brakowski in the second half, not going with Irvin Johnson, who's been the starter. Maybe Frank Brakowski can give him something from a perimeter as the Sonics really struggle from downtown.
Audley comes out, followed by Brakowski. Shot clock is down at 2. Here is Longley. Luke Longley with 12 points, and the Bulls now lead 64-38.
Marv, remember when Michael was telling us before the game about how he was lecturing Luke about when you get popped in the eye like that, take those 5 stitches, you got to come out and show him that you're not going to allow that to happen anymore. Longley's done it with his game today.
Took an inadvertent elbow from Shawn Kemp, and actually wanted to leave, and Phil Jackson was saying, no, you play through it, you stay on the floor. But of course, with the blood dripping down, he was forced to leave. And Jordan was upset because he felt that Longley was just too low-key about taking that shot. And that is another Seattle turnover. It is turnover number 13.
And Michael Jordan slipped and fell into one of our cameramen on that last play and just went over to make sure that he was all right as Michael went hard to the floor.
That was a terrible pass by Gary Payton. Well behind Frank Brakowski on the dead run.
Kukoc from 3. Longley tried to punch it on the back tap, but carried out of bounds.
Well, Michael Jordan with that, what has now become the patented get up in the air fadeaway shot, just kept fading all the way back and all over our NBC cameraman.
Crowd trying to urge on the Sonics. Kemp fouled by Longley. That's 3. on Luke Longley. No team in the history of the NBA Finals has ever come back from more than 21 down at the half to win. The Sonics trailing by 24 at halftime. That's the biggest comeback victory in the history of the finals. Baltimore beat Philadelphia back in April of 1948, coming back from a 21-point deficit. Bulls now lead 64-40.
Sorry, I don't have anything more to give you on that Baltimore-Philly game in 48, Marv.
Well, I know Matt can fill us in on that one.
Freddie Scolari in the backcourt for the Baltimore Bullets. I knew that.
Did you coach him too?
Very good.
Good defense by the Sonics. Pippen. And it's a 24-second violation. The basket will not count. Pippen just tossed it up looking to hit the rim, and Rodman trying to save it. And now there's a discussion. Rodman is applauding the call. Perhaps they are changing the call. Steve Javie, Hugh Evans, Dick Bavetta talking about whether that should be a 24-second violation. If not, the basket would count. So tough because they have to visualize the replay in their mind.
Of course, not allowed to use television replays.
There is no 24-second violation because the ball hits the
we'll
ring.
get the ruling. Here's another look at it.
The whistle blows and it goes to the
yes, it did graze the rim. So the basket does not count, but they'll
There is no 24-second violation.
see how they reset the clock. They'll put some time back up.
Well, they'd have to give him a full 24 because the ball did hit the rim.
And a good ruling by the officials as the shot clock sounded and the whistle blew, just everybody basically stopped other than the alert Dennis Rodman.
And there again was Shawn Kemp unable to keep Dennis Rodman off the board. Hannah was talking about that's what they did all day yesterday in practice. Interesting how they wait until before game 3 to realize he had to block Dennis Rodman off.
Kowski trying to tie up Longley. Jordan rebounded by Bukowski, and he nearly threw it away. Hawkins eluding Jordan, who picks up the foul. That is his first.
I've always loved it, Marv, when these great players like Jordan and Barkley and Bird and Magic, who are so involved in every play, and finally, midway through the second half, oh, there's their first foul.
Bukowski just left a three for Hersey Hawkins. But Dennis made a bit more out of it, though, as he went to the floor. 3 minutes gone by in the third quarter. Bulls by 21. They double up on Jordan and he threw it away.
Well, that's the kind of pressure defense that was so successful for Seattle in the Utah series. Here, Dennis Rodman and Bukowski getting all tangled up. And Dennis, with a flop there, just taking the little bump from Bukowski.
I don't know, a forearm to the throat.
Hawkins is fouled.
Chicago has to be careful because Seattle has come out as the aggressors in this half. That'll get the crowd back into it. And once that crowd gets going, it is impossible to get them back in their seats. Chicago, not really a single good play in the opening 3.5 minutes of the third.
Foul on Pippen. Hersey Hawkins this evening. That is only his 5th point. Here's Steve Kerr replacing Tony Kukoc. Tony Kukoc providing a lift for the Bulls in the first half. Started the game because Ron Harper is bothered by a knee problem. Kukoc with 9 points. So the Bulls now lead 64-45. Pressure by the Sonics, and Longley is able to bring it across.
One of the reasons for Kerr is that he is expert against the trapping, pressing defenses that Seattle is going to throw on the rest of this game.
Longley Jordan able to keep it alive at 24 for the Bulls. Jordan fouled. Rakowski with the wraps on Michael Jordan. Frank Rakowski involved, picking up his third personal.
And Rakowski and Rodman having some extracurricular talk there. Michael Jordan once again quickly getting over to Rodman and pulling him away.
Well, the crowd here in Seattle very much back into it, with the Sonics chipping away but still trailing by 19. Travel called on Longley.
Well, you can also tell from the talk of George Karl in that halftime saying, hey guys, we got to let it all go right here. Frank Rakowski, if you can get somebody involved, do it. Shawn Kemp, you have to start getting physically involved in this ball game.
7-0 run by the Sonics. Bulls have led by as many as 26. Schrempf. Rebounded by Longley. Crowd wanted a traveling violation on Longley.
Well, that's the kind of offensive play that's typified Seattle all day. Trying to beat a guy, a great defensive player, one-on-one, going to your left with a fadeaway jumper.
And here's a fadeaway jumper by Rodman. It is a 3-second violation call on Shawn Kemp.
But this is the kind of Seattle defense that I think everybody in this building, and I know we expected at the start of this game. Very physical, very grabby, clutchy, and just get into the chest and into the face of the Chicago Bulls. The Bulls never let them get into that early in the first quarter.
Yes, the Sonics swarming defensively here in the third. And they've cut into that Bulls lead. Again a whistle, 3 seconds against Chicago.
And the call by Steve Jabby over on the weak side probably could have called something else there as Rodman and Rakowski get all tangled up, and then the 3-second violation. Well, Seattle's defense has gotten serious here at the start of the third quarter, challenging every pass, every shot, and here's Shawn Kemp popping Rodman in the chest, and as they get all tangled up, something could have been called there of a foul nature, but the official wisely called the 3-second violation. We should be happy with that call.
Well, Dennis Rodman has to be very careful. This is where he usually has his problems. When they're way up, the game is not in the balance. And where was this physical response from Seattle early on in this series?
Well, the Bulls have not scored in 4.5 minutes. They've been outscored here in the third, 7-2. Kemp had it excellently knocked away by Payton. Able to recover and hit. The Bulls 64 and the Sonics 47. 6.5 remaining in the third quarter. Bulls in this third quarter turned it over 3 times. Only 1 of 7 from the field. Make it 1 of the last 8.
So difficult for a team with a huge lead to come out with that edge and that sharpness. Very dangerous for Chicago as they're in danger of losing this entire lead.
All right, Pippen with the rebound on the Schrempf miss. Well, the Bulls with a magnificent first half, probably their best of the playoff run. Rodman able to keep it alive, and now lost it. Payton with the steal. Hawkins for 3. They just cannot hit from downtown, and it leads to this. A fast break bucket by Jordan.
And George Karl has been saying it, if we don't make threes, we cannot win. What a beautiful play by Steve Kerr to start that 2-on-1 break.
Kemp with the spin move, but had nowhere to go. Rakowski for 3, and he is able to hit. A 3-pointer for Rakowski. And the Bulls now lead 66-50. So Seattle 2 of 12 from downtown. That's
Bukowski's offensive game. Feed off the penetration, spot up at the line. What a pass, Jordan.
Longley. Tied up by Kemp. Shawn Kemp with a brilliant defensive play.
Well, Luke Longley wisely keep moving, find the open area as Jordan is double teamed, and then Luke Longley trying to do the right thing, take it strong to the basket, but just unable to finish that play off against the bigger, stronger, quicker Seattle defenders.
Payton was blocked by Bukowski, who is becoming a factor in this third quarter. Foul called on Rodman. Three on Rodman, and the Bulls now with 4:53 to go in this third quarter, leading by 16. A look at the block by Bukowski.
Way too casual by Pippen, but Bukowski showing the skills that he has. Spot-up shooter, good interior, rugged defender.
Second team foul against Seattle.
Pippen running into Bukowski. Nice ball movement. Kukoc off the mark on a three-point attempt. Here comes Payton. He was looking for help and then was hit by Kerr. For the Bulls, their 5th team foul.
Chicago has done nothing in this third quarter. They've come out, they've scored a total of 4 points. They're all standing around thinking that it's over. Now Seattle is just surging, roaring. The crowd is behind them. This is when they play their best, when their backs are against the wall, as they certainly are.
Well, Tony Kukoc took that last jump shot deep in the left corner, felt he was hit on the wrist and arm, and then turned to the official begging for the call. If he had alertly followed his own miss, he would have probably got the rebound, and all of his teammates remind him, don't worry about non-calls, keep playing.
The Sonics have outscored the Bulls 14-4 in the third. It's down to a 14-point lead. Kemp knocked it out of bounds. Nice catch by Cindy Crawford in the front row. And there's Cindy getting herself involved in the game. Wearing the Dennis Rodman hat. Timeout has been called with 4:18 remaining in the third. The Bulls only 2 of 13 for the field in this third quarter. Well, the NBA and NBC Sports have teamed up and created the official website for the NBA Finals at finals.com. Game previews, player bios, video highlights, the latest news on the Bulls and the Sonics. Plus, during our NBC broadcast of the Finals, fans around the globe can interact with our very own cybercaster, Steve Snapper Jones, busy at work, as you can see. He'll be online with commentary and answering fan questions during the course of the game. Check out the official website of the NBA and NBC Sports at finals.com. 4:15 remaining in this third quarter, and the Bulls now appear to be the team that is rattled. They throw it away, giving the Sonics another opportunity. A Chicago Bulls team that has gone 2 of 13 from the field. They've been outscored 14-4 here in the third, which has usually been their quarter. That's the case in games 1 and 2. Perkins trying to dump it off, but Pippen able to step right into that passing lane.
Marvin Mott was telling us in the last timeout that Phil Jackson's telling his team to weather the storm. They'll get tired eventually. The problem with that strategy is that these fans won't let them get tired. Ouch, what a wild and horrible shot.
Here comes Payton. Hawkins. And he draws the foul. He was blocked. Foul on Steve Kerr. So the Bulls have scored only 4 points in this third quarter. It's unbelievable with 3:33 remaining in the quarter. Fewest points in a quarter in the NBA Finals, 11. New York Knicks against the Los Angeles Lakers, April 30th, 1972.
Well, the Bulls just have not done enough with their defense to create some fast break opportunities. And then when they have to walk the ball into the front court and try to run their triangle offense, the pressure defense of Seattle has just totally taken them out of the rhythm.
Hersey Hawkins, 4 for 4. 8 points for Hawkins. David Wingate with a cameo coming on for Detlef Schrempf. And again, the crowd wild here at the arena. Kerr for 3. Bulls 68. The Sonics 54.
Perfect execution of the set offense. Take the ball to one side, double down on the other for Steve Kerr.
Kemp able to get inside. Shawn Kemp got off to the slow start. He has now become a factor. He has 12 points.
And Bar, it's a very tough matchup. Kukoc trying to keep Kemp away from the basket. He can only hope to get it back on the offensive end.
Chain of defense. Shot clock at 7. Pippen. Oh, beautiful move with a head fake on Hersey Hawkins.
And Phil Jackson and the Chicago bench are wondering why Steve Kerr was not credited with a three-point shot.
Apparently they did wave it off. Called it a 2. Here's Wingate for 3. David Wingate from downtown. And the Bulls lead 71-59.
Michael Jordan's got to get more assertive. He's going to start calling for that ball, waving his teammates away so he can get to the hoop.
Shot clock at 6. Pippen. Here come the Sonics. Just under 2 minutes to go in the third. Now Payton posting. Facing the double team. The steal by Pippen. Kukoc chased by Perkins. The Bulls with a 73-59 lead.
Wow, Steve Kerr in trouble under duress with the post-up of Gary Payton, and his teammates came quickly to his aid and forced the turnover.
Matt, you mentioned the Bulls defense not getting it done. They've upped it. In that low post, Gary Payton, who has tortured all the short guards in the Western Conference, realizes he's got Kerr, but the double team just leads to easy fast breaks.
Foul committed by Weddington. And again, Hawkins, one of the NBA's better free throw shooters. At the line, he's 5 for 5 here tonight. 8 points for Hersey, 7 of the 8 in this comebacking third quarter.
Now, when Gary Payton gets in that position with a guy like Steve Kerr, he's got to anticipate double team, and that's where he's got to find his three-point shooters. The only two on the floor right now are Hersey Hawkins and Sam Perkins, but they have to be spotted up and spaced correctly.
A Chicago lead once 24. It's now 12.
I'm surprised Phil Jackson hasn't come back with Dennis Rodman. Maybe he was upset with the fact that Rodman was losing his cool and concentration with the big lead.
And the outside official, Steve Jammy, calling it on Hawkins. Non-shooting foul for the Bulls, their first team foul the last 2 minutes.
I think Phil just does want to weather this storm now and make sure that he has fresh troops for the final 8 minutes of this ballgame.
Kukoc watched by Kemp. Wingate is on Jordan. Travel.
Scottie Pippen is really hesitating when he gets that initial pass. Jordan makes the play. They double team him, and when Scottie gets it, he's got to go right away with it. Don't stop and wait, but then you got to start all over again.
Down to 40 seconds remaining in the third. Hawkins got the step. Wingate, and he's called for travel.
Mark, Seattle's right back in this game. Just down 12. The crowd is on the edge of their seats. You can just hear them, feel them breathing down on your necks here. The offense has really picked up. This is Seattle's Sonic basketball.
But this is as tough and intense a defense as you'll see all season long from two teams on the same floor.
Wennington, Bill Wennington with a second field goal. It's the Bulls 75, the Sonics 61, 10 seconds to go in the third quarter. Down to 5. Wingate. And that is it for the third quarter. Seattle outscored Chicago 23-13 to get back into it. Trailing by 24 at the half, trailing by as many as 26. It is now a 14-point game. Bill Wennington with the corner jump a moment ago to extend that Chicago lead. Dennis Rodman sitting out a good portion of this third quarter. We'll be back with the fourth after these messages and a word from your local station. Back at Key Arena in Seattle, Marv Albert, Matt Guokas, Bill Walton, Ahmad Rashad, Hannah Storm, Bob Costas, the entire crew on hand, and we have seen this crowd in a frenzy right throughout the third quarter. The Sonics getting back into it. Chicago shooting only 6 of 19 from the field in the third. Michael Jordan, only 2 points in the third quarter, was not part of the offense, but figures to be a different story here in the fourth. Jordan now with 31.
One of those old UCLA plays, Bill, the UCLA cut, and Michael Jordan able to shed David Wingate and get that open jump shot.
And that play was all over the blackboard in Seattle's locker room. That high post shuffle. When Wennington sets that pick, Kukoc will just dump it right down to him. Sam Perkins too late. The guard, I think, has to go ball side on that play with Jordan particularly, so you can front him down low if he does take that post position.
And a foul on Wennington, a non-shooting affair. Payton putting the spin on Kerr. And Kerr on the loose ball. Foul is called on Payton.
Steve Kerr was not a factor in the first 2 games in Chicago. Gary Payton gets called for this foul here on Dennis Rodman. Just holds him, keeps him from coming up the lane, and then says, who, me? I didn't foul him.
And a technical foul has been called. It's on Payton, who apparently had something else to say in the direction of Steve Javie. It's been a very tough series for Gary Payton. In game 2, he shot only 6 of 15. Game 1, played 47 minutes, only 6 of 17 from the field.
And it's hard to understand what he could possibly be complaining about. He clearly grabbed Dennis Rodman. It was a good call.
Bulls by 17. And Kukoc took the hit. Met by the double team of Schrempf and Wingate. Foul on David Wingate.
And Gary Payton continues to glare at the official Steve Javie, who called the technical foul on him. That will not help his cause one little bit.
Jordan with the pull-up. Yes, and it counts. Foul committed by Wingate. And Jordan to the line. So kind of a restful third quarter for Michael Jordan, who is certainly right back to it.
It just appears as if the Bulls and Michael Jordan can do whatever they want, whenever they want. Seattle comes back, plays their best basketball of the series in the third, and right away, Michael Jordan says, hey, just give me the ball and get out of the way. Jumper in your face.
And hey, Frank Bukowski was not a catalyst by any means, but he did give the Sonics a different look. More physical play and seemed to give the team a lift. I'm a little surprised he's not in there right now.
And this call away from the ball. Rodman. The push on Kemp. That's 4 on Dennis Rodman.
Dennis Rodman, who plays very tough low post defense and has that habit of snapping that neck back. Nobody ever hits him in the face when he does that.
That was not a defensive foul on Dennis Rodman. And another one on Dennis Rodman.
And that's 5 on Rodman. Luke Longley walking over to the scorer's table. He will come on for Rodman.
Rodman and Kemp underneath the basket. Hard to see where that foul is on Dennis Rodman. Shawn Kemp initiated everything. This points out the problem that Ron Harper not being available today, just not the regular rotations to keep Kukoc in the back, in the front court.
But obviously the Bulls have managed despite that.
It helps when you have Michael Jordan on your team in a lot of different respects.
A 20-point Chicago lead. Kukoc for 3. And Perkins with the box out. Schrempf had to save that lead thrown by Payton. Here's Payton. Gary Payton with 12 points. He's hit 5 of 12 from the field. The Bulls now lead by 18.
You see this lineup for the Chicago occasionally with both Longley and Wennington on the floor, but I'm sure it won't be too long before Scottie Pippen re-enters.
Absolutely, because the Bulls are so much better when they go small. But the way Longley is playing today, I'd go with him and make Seattle match up to him, which they have not done.
Well, Longley now has 14 points. Perkins, making the turn, was taken down by Wennington. Here comes Frank Bukowski getting set to check back in. Timeout is called. 9:37 left in the fourth quarter. And at 38 years of age, Kareem, the oldest player ever to win the MVP award. That was the 8th time the Lakers met the Celtics in the finals, and the first time that they ever beat Boston. 9.5 remaining in the fourth quarter. Game 3 of the NBA Finals. The season very much on the line for the Sonics, who are trailing here by 20 points. The Bulls with a burst at the start to take the energy out of the crowd. Michael Jordan with a sensational first half. The Sonics able to get back into it in the third quarter. But the Bulls have come out strong here in the fourth. And a foul is called against Seattle. The high point man of the game is Michael Jordan. Jordan with 34 points. Shawn Kemp just picked up his 4th personal foul, and it will put Luke Longley at the line.
Well, Luke bouncing back very nicely here in Game 3. In Game 2, he had as many stitches as he did points and rebounds combined, 5. But he came out in this first quarter and really made a statement offensively, much as he did in Game 1.
That's not a good day when your stitches outnumber your points and rebounds combined. But that play all set up by Tony Kukoc. Shawn Kemp has not shown an ability to contain him on the perimeter. Tony in Game 1 and 2 was critical at the decisive moments. That play again, setting it all up with penetration.
And a knee offered up by Longley. Indication from the official taking the better. That's 4. On Longley, the Bulls are now over the limit. Luke wanted his interpretation.
Mark, that last offensive sequence for Chicago that Luke Longley ended up getting the shot, that shows how far Luke Longley has come. Career playoff high today. Early in the season, Scottie Pippen never would have dumped that ball off to Luke Longley. I mean, he would throw it to him in the beginning of the game, and Luke would drop it out of bounds or commit an offensive foul. Now, though, after a year with Jordan, he's fully developed.
The Bulls 84 and the Sonics 65. Down 5 on the 24. Pippen for 3 with 2 seconds remaining on the clock.
And Pippen, as soon as he came off the bench with Rodman going out with 5 fouls, Scottie gets a big rebound, a couple of nice passes, and a huge 3.
Scottie Pippen with 12 points. And Scottie has done it once again in a number of departments. 8 rebounds, 8 assists. Although he has not shot well at 5 for 14.
Marv with the Bulls. Oh, Longley off the penetration again. Kemp can't keep him under control. George Karl needs another timeout.
What a game for Luke Longley. 17 points for the product of Australia. 7:55 to go in the 4th quarter. And the Bulls now lead 89-65. That's Pippen from 3-point range with the shot clock running down. We'll be back at the Key Arena in a moment. With just under 8 minutes to go in the 4th quarter, a reminder, following our telecast here on NBC, we invite you to tune to CNBC on your cable system for an NBA Finals post-game special. Our entire cast will be on hand to recount the game with highlights. We'll hear from some of the players. You'll see some of the press conferences as we look back at the game 3 here in Seattle. Kowski with a second field goal. That's the NBA Finals post-game special immediately following the game on CNBC. The Bulls with an 89-67 lead. Longley. And he was fouled.
Marvin, it's so special to watch this Bull team, which is truly unique in a lot of different ways. But when they pass the ball, when they get rid of the ball, they just keep moving. So many teams stand and watch. So many teams feel that or players, if they don't have the ball, they're not doing anything. These guys are always in motion, moving away, setting screens, coming back to the ball. A thing of beauty to watch.
Well, they are the only team in the league that runs this triangle offense to this degree, and with the spacing involved and with all the cuts and with all the backdoor type of passes, it affords all that kind of movement. Luke Longley must love this Key Arena. He had his career high,
right.
Even though the Bulls had lost that game early in the year, he had a career high 21.
How about a career move? He's gone for the Minnesota Timberwolves, where he lost 67 games back in 91-92 to the NBA Finals.
I think he likes Michael Jordan, not so much the Key Arena.
Longley called for that tripping foul that put Gary Payton on the floor.
Well, that's a good foul by Longley. Still sporting the bandage from the 5 stitches. The little guard comes in and sets the screen on you. You can't let that happen.
And here's Dennis Rodman back. So Longley with a playoff career high of 19 points. This game being seen worldwide, but you know, they're enjoying it in Luke's native land of Australia, a member of the 1988-1992 Australian Olympic teams. It was certainly his finest moment as a professional. And Jordan fouled by Hawkins, and Rodman and Kowski getting involved.
And Phil Jackson at the other end of the floor taking a very long look and now whistling to his team out there. He does not want Dennis to do anything that is not going to have him ready for a game 4. You just have your heart in your throat at all times when they get tangled up. And see, Dennis initiates all that by getting his arms tangled up underneath the other player, and then makes it appear that in this case Frank Brakowski is doing the holding.
And once again, with the game not in the balance, a 22-point lead. But these are certainly two of the freest spirits in the NBA. We don't need any sort of altercation here that would take away from this beautiful exhibition of basketball today by the Chicago Bulls.
Now, would this be considered taunting?
I was just going to say, why is that not taunting? Just a look and almost baiting Frank Brakowski to do something. Dennis has to settle down, play basketball, go play golf with Michael Jordan tomorrow and get ready for Game 4.
But if you can't stand there at attention and look at somebody with a blank expression on your face, what are you allowed to do?
I think that was a bit more than trying to do. And a foul on Pippen. That is his third. Bulls are over the foul limit. Coming into this NBA final series, all the Bulls were saying that, well, the 72 victory season is certainly wonderful. They're able to roar through the playoff, beating Miami and then New York and Orlando. But it wouldn't mean a thing. They felt it wouldn't mean anything until they, as Michael Jordan put it, completed the picture. And they are now playing for a place in NBA history. And they wanted to come up with an effort here tonight, at least in one of these games, that would be clear-cut, because they have felt that they have not played well against the Sonics, and they have certainly come through here this evening.
Mark, they won't admit it because they don't believe in taunting the opposition, but they had to have a meeting between the key guys and said, hey, look, let's go undefeated during these playoffs. They did lose the one to the Knicks in Game 3.
And again, Brakowski and Rodman come together, and the officials very quick to move to that scene. Brakowski with number 4.
Rodman flashing to the ball. No need to overplay or try to deny him. Dennis is not looking to swing that sky hook across the middle. Gary Payton doing a lot of trash talking. He needs a little bit more game to back that talk up. Gary Payton coming in as the brilliant player, over 20 points a game. In the series, he's got 40 points total in the series.
This is the story tonight. Jordan 11, 22, 36 points. And Payton only 5 of 13, 14 points, along with 8 assists. You mentioned the playoff run, Bill, of the Bulls on their way to making it a record of 14-1 in the playoffs. Schrempf and Jordan able to box out Kemp.
In traffic, going up with one of the best rebounders in the league, Shawn Kemp. As both Jordan and Pippen, with Rodman in and out of this lineup throughout the game, have both gotten much more involved in the rebounding area, as they tend to do when Dennis is not getting a whole bunch.
Shot clock down to 4. Jordan. And Rodman and Brakowski get involved. It looks like Pavetta has given the ejection sign. This has been brewing the last couple of minutes. I think he's thrown both out of the game. Brakowski ejected, flagrant foul 2. I thought Pavetta indicated that both were tossed. Let's see.
Well, this has been brewing ever since these two have gotten on the floor there. As this time, Brakowski does get that forearm and elbow right into the Adam's apple of Dennis Rodman. But George Karl, who was ridiculing Rodman for all the things that he was getting away with after Game 1, had nothing but praise for Dennis Rodman after Game 2. I think we're going to hear more ridiculing after this one.
Dick Pavetta gave a succession of thumbs, but apparently he was making it clear that it was Brakowski who was gone, and Rodman remains, and now he and Kemp are having words.
Very difficult for George Karl to ridicule the starting power forward, leading rebounder in the series when you're down 3-0.
5:45 remaining in the 4th quarter.
Phil Jackson should do this game a favor, maybe take Rodman out.
Rodman and Kemp coming together, and Kemp picks up number 5. On the other hand, Phil Jackson may be enjoying the fact that Dennis Rodman has gotten into the heads of the Seattle players. And Michael Jordan just came over, giving us a look as if to say he's kind of amused by it, but what's going on here?
And Phil Jackson just peeking up at the clock again, wishing this thing would end without getting any further incident from Dennis Rodman. Phil Jackson, I'm sure, has already started thinking about Wednesday, and he knows he'll want to have Dennis Rodman on the floor.
But Dennis is quick to point out that he has not thrown a punch in 10 years in this league.
Bulls 96 and the Sonics 70 in a blowout. Sonics did rally, got within 11 with their surge in the third quarter, but the Bulls picked it right back up in the fourth. Payton. We're coming up on 5 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter.
Again, Mark, a nice play by Gary Payton, but just one guy involved. Dribble up the whole way, get in the post. Everybody else standing around watching for Seattle. Here's 3 men involved, and then come back to the weak side.
Kukoc, foul. And he will head to the lines on Perkins.
Bill Wennington checking in. Dennis Rodman very upset that he's the man going to the bench. And I'm sure Phil Jackson will breathe a sigh.
Well, for Dennis, certainly a guy who enjoys the circus atmosphere that he has created. But there's no question that he has bothered the Seattle Supersonics, along with what has taken place on the scoreboard. That is a contributing factor.
It's embarrassing, Marv, to get blown out on your home court. You come back, you wait all these years to get back to the finals. The disappointments the last couple years, first-round playoff losses. They think they got it going. They play Chicago well 2 times and then come back here and lay down.
Having his best game of this series, very quiet in games 1 and 2, 16 for Schrempf, and the Bulls now lead 98-75. The last time the Bulls were here in Seattle was back on November the 26th, and the Sonics beat the Bulls in a come-from-behind effort. That was more than 6 months ago, though. Shot clock down to 1. Bushler. It's a 24-second.
Well, I wouldn't say the Seattle team laid down in any way, shape, or form. They just got hit by a buzzsaw at the start of this game, the Chicago Bulls, and Michael Jordan, and how he likes to assert himself on the road in these playoff situations. He gets, I think, more pleasure out of winning these games on the road than at home.
And Michael will send it out the rest of the way. That's the final numbers. 11 of 23, 36 points. And he was 11 for 11 at the line. Foul committed by Randy Brown. For Michael Jordan, his high game in this series. And certainly feeling much better about things. He was very unhappy, very frustrated, but about the way he played and about the way the club played, although they beat the Sonics in game 2.
And I'm sure it made him feel good and helped the whole ball club by getting after Tony Kukoc about those couple of times where he passed up some shots and jumping on Luke Longley about maybe feeling sorry for himself with those 5 stitches. And I think that definitely picked up those 2 players, and I think it woke the rest of the ball club up as well.
Plus, they've found their rhythm now. They're back to playing every other day now, which is the regular NBA schedule. That long layoff really did hurt them. Nice passing, Scottie Pippen.
And Bill Wennington is 3 for 3. He's given the Bulls a 100-78 lead with 3.5 remaining in this fourth quarter. Game 4 here on Wednesday night. 9 o'clock Eastern time, 6 out of the West. Phil Jackson now has Randy Brown and Doug Bushler on the floor, along with Scottie Pippen, Tony Kukoc, and Bill Wennington.
But Mark, look how it keeps going. The flow is still there. Dribble away, pass back up top, screen away, pass to the weak side, spot up jumper.
And Randy Brown is 2 for 2, including a 3 earlier. He has 5 points. Bulls 102-78 over the Sonics. We mentioned coming into tonight's game that only 2 teams have ever come back from a 2-0 deficit, foul on Kukoc, to win in the NBA Finals. No one has ever come back from 3-0 to win an NBA Final Series. Timeout call. The Bulls certainly enjoying things. 2:43 remaining in the fourth quarter. And it's Chicago 102 and Seattle 78. And as we were headed to commercial, there was a technical foul called on Detlef Schrempf.
Detlef was fouled on a three-point jumper a minute or so ago. They didn't call it. The game's over. But he wants to get to that line and shoot his 3 free throws. He's not getting there.
Three-point shooting has been a major problem for the Sonics throughout this series, and give the Chicago defense a lot of credit. They have challenged most of them. Obviously, Randy Brown got a piece of the arm on Schrempf on that one, just going by that reaction. But Chicago probably has figured this kind of defense out more than any other team in the league. They will live with some post-up scoring from a guy like Kemp or a guy like Shaquille O'Neal, but they do not want to let the good three-point shooters get off and get going, and then get other people involved and get second shot opportunities, and it has worked to perfection throughout these playoffs.
But the versatility of the Bulls, Matt, allows them to change that to whoever they're playing against. The reason that you think you have a chance in the post-up game is that's where they have Longley, that's where they have a short power forward in Dennis Rodman, and a poor interior defender in Tony Kukoc. You certainly don't think your game is going to be winning by beating Michael Jordan one-on-one on the perimeter.
Wennington, Steve Scheffler, and Eric Snow, seldom used players by the Sonics, have taken the floor. So George Karl emptying his bench in these final minutes, and we have now reached garbage time. I don't know, is that possible in the NBA Finals? I guess it is. 2 minutes to go. The Bulls with a 103-80 lead, on their way to making it 3-0 in this best of 7. Steve Kerr going to the left hand.
Movement without the ball, a thing of beauty.
Schrempf, 105-82. And we're down to a minute and a half to go. This crowd is filing out. They have waited to the last few moments. Bushler able to drill it. This capacity crowd of better than 17,000 staying to the very end, despite the fact that the home team has been rocked solidly. Hawkins on the fake. Percy Hawkins with 12. Detlef Schrempf leading the Sonics with 20. Gary Payton with 19, but these numbers are just cosmetic. The Sonics working their way back into it in the third quarters. They came within 11, but the Bulls were able to accelerate once again and recaptured the big lead. Bushler to the line, fouled by Eric Snow, the rookie from Michigan State.
Well, it has been a roller coaster ride for these Seattle fans over the last 3 years. Getting knocked out in the first round, the last couple, and then looking like they had that Utah series well in hand, losing game 5 here at Key Arena, getting blown out at Salt Lake in game 6, and then barely hanging on to win game 7. So this crowd has been tantalized and teased.
Here's Brown, fouled, hit by Snow, and Randy Brown will go to the line. And again, the questions will surface regarding that man, George Karl, who certainly has not been happy about his contract situation.
George Karl did have his contract extended for next year. Would like to have that long-term extension. Of course, Phil Jackson, his contract up at the end of this season. No extension there yet.
Now to a half minute remaining in the fourth quarter. 108 to 84. Wingate. So the Chicago Bulls in a blowout of the Seattle Sonics. They opened up with a burst, anticipating the high energy from this crowd. And they were able to just take it all out of the Sonics right at the start. Time has run out. The Bulls winning game 3, 108-86. The Bulls led by Michael Jordan, who finished 11 of 23 from the field, 36 points. And now the Bulls and the Sonics look to game number 4 here in Seattle on Wednesday night. That'll be a 9 o'clock start in the East, 6 o'clock on the West Coast. All right, let's go to Ahmad Rashad with Michael Jordan. Ahmad.
All right, thanks, Marv. Michael, finally a game that you guys can feel some satisfaction with. You won the last 2 games, but really not played very well. Today you played excellent.
Well, I thought we were going to give it away a little bit in the third quarter, but I think the first half we came out and basically took the crowd out of the game and took some of their momentum very early. And from that point on, I think we tried to control everything, and we pretty much did. I think when they started making a run at us in the third quarter, we just had to find something to contain them and slow them down because they were coming very hard.
How do you account for that start that you had today? Because in game 2, you guys started, very lethargic, no energy, but not tonight.
Well, as I said, I think when we get on the road, we become a little more focused. We go out and we know what our jobs are, and we don't have to worry about family tickets and all a lot of distractions that we have to go through, man. It's good to be on the road so we can bond together and play better.
How about your focus? I know in the first couple of games you felt like you were struggling a little bit, but today you came in talking about making a statement.
Well, I know this is the Gloves home, and I wasn't going to verbalize any kind of confrontation with him. I was just going to come out and play and let my basketball do all my talking. And I know that the crowd can get very hostile, but me personally, these are the things I like to play at, in the atmosphere that I like to play at. Just come in and focus on basketball and block everything else out.
All right, Michael, thanks a lot. Great game.